Okay, so like I said, we were live from New York, and we're gonna get started with this. We had a little bit of a snap there with the link for the LinkedIn session, but in the meantime, I'm gonna present myself. I'm Adrian Rubio, and I'm with MediaSmart for the last 6 months, and I've been in the mobile world for about 15 years, first in mobile content, then in mobile marketing, mobile billing, and the last 6-7 years have been on mobile advertising, programmatic advertising. And like I said, I joined MediaSmart as VP of Business Development about 6 months ago. It's been great. And a little bit about MediaSmart, even though we're going to try to keep this session as subject matter focus as possible, rather than it being a MediaSmart infomercial. Obviously, we're going to talk about MediaSmart a little bit, and to give you just a little bit of introduction about us, we're a mobile DSP with all the bells and whistles that you would want in a mobile demand-side platform. That means that we have inventory from 30 plus ad exchanges. We run campaigns in display, native, and video, and we also do incrementality. Our platform has incrementality embedded on it. That means that if you're running a promotion campaigns or location-based campaigns, we can tell you automatically what is the lift that your campaigns are providing to your marketing. Basically, that means that we have a control group that's exposed to the campaign, one that is not, and we measure that. But that's not the subject of today. Today is another feature that we have, that is the ability to create your own first-party audiences and also use third-party audiences from some of our partners. So let's get started. A little bit. I'm going to share my screen with you. Your whole screen of the presentation. You don't see me. You're not missing anything. So here we go. So why are we here? Why are we talking about mobile audiences to begin with? Why should I be using mobile audiences to begin with if I'm a marketer? Well, some of the reasons are to raise your brand awareness, to drive customers to your store, your restaurant, your location, to increase conversion, and to better re-engage users. And this can be done in many different ways. You can create different audiences. Again, this is going to be the main subject of today's webinar. But we have to demystify a little bit of what these audiences are, because it usually becomes a very abstract term, and we want people to understand what they are, how they're used, and how can they be applied. So the agenda for today is first to take a step back and have go over some definitions, basically because we want to everybody to be on the same page and not have humongous gaps. These are not very, overall, they're not very complicated concepts. So if it's a little bit basic for some people, just bear with us for a couple of seconds, and then we'll get to the more interesting stuff. So mobile audiences. Sorry, I forgot to mention the other items that we created. Obviously, the definitions. Then we're going to see how these audiences are created. Again, to demystify a little bit, to put it more in more tangible terms. Then how you apply these audiences. And then we're going to go over some of the tools that we provide people to manage and create these audiences, and some use cases that are going to make it a little bit more tangible for people to understand. And finally, we're going to go through privacy concerns. Obviously, it's not only been on the news lately, but it's been a solid couple of years that privacy is one of the main issues when people are advertising and using data or leveraging data to advertise to consumers. So first of all, what is a mobile audience? So a mobile audience is a group of identifiable devices that usually share a number of data points. If you take it, at the very high level, you could, an audience could be all the mobile devices in the United States, or all the iOS devices in the United States, another segment. You can do another one about all the mobile devices in North Carolina. You can do more specific, and you start saying all the coffee drinkers in Manhattan, or people that have a gaming application in Wyoming, and so on. The groups are very ad hoc, and the combinations are endless. But basically, what it means is the number of data points. That's how you group people into audiences. So there's 3 different types of data. There's first-party data, second-party data, and third-party data. The first-party data, that is most of what we're going to be talking about today, is the data that the advertiser owns and controls. So if I am an app developer, I'm an app publisher, and I have data about my customers, about my users, that is data that I control, and it's data that I leverage to to market back to my customers. Second-party data is basically someone else's first-party data. A good example could be Equifax. The people that do credit scores, they own that data, and they make it available to somebody else to enrich their promotions and so on. And obviously, they do it on a anonymized matter, but that is the concept of second-party data. And then you have third-party data that is a collection of first-party data from a number of sources that is curated by an aggregator. There's a number of aggregators out there. We work with some of them. You have SEOTAP, you have Nielsen, and we have AdSquare. There are some of the partners. There's others like Oracle has its own market and so on. So we're going to talk now about how these mobile audiences are created. So we have that audiences are created based on data and data points, and these devices are grouped that way, and that's how you create an audience. So how can we identify devices in mobile? Well, we have the phone number, we have a MAC address, we have a UDID, which is the identifier for advertising in a phone, which is the IFA or IDFA for iOS, and the Google Android ID for an Android phone. You have cookies when people are browsing on the web, and you have IP addresses as well, which is the address of the internet address from where the user is connecting to access the internet. So which one of these are available on programmatic? Well, first, let's take a step back again to define or to go over what is programmatic or how programmatic works. Programmatic buying, in a very simplified manner, is being able to, for an advertiser to reach users via an ad exchange. So you have an advertiser that contracts an agency or a trading desk, and that agency or trading desk accesses a demand-side platform like MediaSmart. And MediaSmart, or some of our competitors as well, we're connected to a number of SSPs that are supply-side platforms. And these supply-side platforms are connected to a number of app publishers or web publishers that reach a number of users. So every time there is a new ad to be sold or to be displayed in your phone or in your app or on a website, there's an auction that takes place, and that demand-side platforms bid on. And for us to bid on those, we get all these data points that we analyze and make sure that those match the campaigns that our clients are running. That's in a gist how programmatic works. So we get a lot of this data. So why do we begin? We work on programmatic? Well, the benefits of programmatic and buying media this way in real time is that you can personalize your marketing at the user level. You can also identify options for mobile targeting. Again, one of the ones that we mentioned is location, but there's a lot more that we're going to be looking at. You can also optimize your campaigns in real time, whereas when you do direct media buys, for example, the old way where you go to the publisher of a website or of an app and you make what is called a direct media buy. You say, I'm going to get the top banner for all this month. You have to wait for them to send those reports for you to say whether the campaign is working or not. In programmatic, this works in real time and can be optimized within a few hours, sometimes minutes, depending. Most DSPs have their own algorithms to do this sort of optimization. And obviously, this allows you to adjust your strategy during times of change. You can start, stop your advertising, or adjust as as you see fit, or as circumstances change. So what are these BIDSTREAM variables in programmatic that we talked about on the OpenRTB? OpenRTB means open real-time bidding. So we have the user ID. We have, which is the identifier that we talked about before. We have the geolocation of that device. We have the publisher where that advertising is to be served. We have the placement within that publisher, that app, or that website. Maybe it's the top banner, maybe it's the bottom banner, maybe it's an interstitial. We also have the timestamp of when this advertising is taking place. We have the device type. We have the manufacturer and the model. We have the operating system. We have whether this ad is going to be displayed on an app or on the web, on a mobile browser. And if it is on a mobile browser, what type of browser it is. Sometimes some publishers can also enrich these bid requests. That's the name of the signal that we get to bid on this advertising. They enrich it with some demographic information that they have from their customers. We could also get the language of the device. We get the mobile operator, the connection type, whether people are on Wi-Fi or they are on the cellular network, and we also get the SIM card country of the device. So now that we have all these variables, so what do we do with them? Well, basically, what you do with these variables is you start putting people in let's call it buckets, but it's precisely what is called audiences. Grouping people based on these variables, and as you saw, based on the number of variables, the combinations are infinite. So one of the things that you can do with this at the very basic level, what are the actions that you can take with an audience, is first to target them, to convert them into being your customer, to show advertising that is relevant to them. So in this case, let's say that I have a game app and I want to target customers that have games or that are I know that have spend time playing games. So what you do is out of the whole bid stream that we get, or that the DSPs are receiving in real time, you pick those that are gamers and are more likely to buy your game. Another use that you have with building audiences is retargeting your active users. So I am this game developer, and I have a number of users that have already downloaded the app. I don't want to keep advertising to these people anymore because they already downloaded my game. I want to probably target it for something else. I will talk about it in a second. But I just want to blacklist them and not waste my marketing dollars to people that are already converted. So people get the ad, they convert, and they can automatically be blacklisted so they don't see any more of that advertising going forward. Similarly, if you have other types of events beyond the pure download, you can have an e-commerce app, and you can have people that within the app or the website, even sometimes, they can they left something in their checkout or in their shopping cart, and they have not checked out. You can retarget those people the same way, to retarget them to come back and check out or do what they were not they left in the cart. So re-engagement is a more advanced way of simply retargeting. That means that you create audiences along the conversion funnel of your app or of your offering. So let's say in this case you have the app downloads. So we have people that downloaded the app, in this case 6, of which 5 opened the app, 1 did not. And of those 5 that opened the app, 3 purchased in the first week and 2 did not purchase. So each one of these becomes a different audience to whom we can run our show campaigns automatically just by them falling or falling in different steps through the conversion funnel. For example, in this case, let's say we want to run a campaign for people that did not open the app and did not purchase, but we want to leave those that registered and purchased within the first week, unbothered. We don't want to show this campaign because it's probably a coupon, something that is going to be enticing these users to go further in the funnel. So this is the second type of application that you have for an audience. And another type of application that for which you want to build an audience is creating lookalikes. So what is a lookalike? A lookalike is it's very self-explanatory, but in short is if you choose what users are the most valuable to you, depending on whatever you define as those characteristics, meaning the people that have the highest LTV, the lifetime value of customer, or the ones that bring in the more revenue, or the ones that are the most frequent users. So these lookalikes are basically people that you want to target. So you group first these devices, these people that you know are your ideal customer, which is called the user segment. And a lot of DSPs, again, we're not only talking about MediaSmart, but there's other data DMPs and data providers that can build these lookalikes based on their own algorithms. We have our algorithm, somebody else has different algorithms, but they all usually start with the seed segment. And this seed segment is a number of users with a number of data points, and this algorithm find what traits or data points are similar between them, so that you can get some that are similar to those, and you can create your campaigns and target and grow your user base with this type of ideal, quote unquote, customers that you want to reach. So now we're going to talk about some tools that we offer in MediaSmart that allow you to create these audiences and manage them, and what are the applications of this. Again, to reiterate, we are talking about first-party audiences. We also will cover third-party audiences in a minute, but most of the time we talk about this is how simple it is to create these audiences. And again, the purpose of this webinar is to demystify a little bit the concept. So in MediaSmart, and we have location-based audiences, which are very self-descriptive, but there's many variations of those as well. So you can talk about people that are, again, in the United States, people in North Carolina, people in New York, people in New York City, people in Brooklyn, and we allow you to go to a very small radius, people within 100 meters of a Walmart. That can also be an audience. So you can get very granular, and again, there's other tools out there as well, but with ours you manage them in a very easy manner. You can also create those location-based audiences, as I mentioned, based on a point of interest. I said like Walmart, but it can be coffee shop, it can be a bar, it can be a restaurant, it can be a stadium. So it can be within a city or a point of interest. We also have interaction-based audiences, which are based on events or actions that customers do on your app or on your website. As we said before, somebody who downloaded the app, somebody who tapped on this, somebody who played, somebody who did not play. So these are all based on interactions, and not only with the app, it can also be based on the interaction with your ads, people that saw your ads, people that clicked on your app. We have also time-based audiences, and there's a very strong reason why we put them separately. They are a derivation of both location-based audiences and interaction-based audiences. So if we go back to location-based audiences, we can say all the people that visited Walmart within the last 7 days. So it's a different group of people from the people that visited Walmart, in yesterday. So you add that variable. In the case of interaction, it's even more clear because you can have all the people that downloaded your app. It's a set of people, but if you put it by the number of people that downloaded the app within the last 24 hours, is a different group of people, and you may want to treat those people differently because it may even not be within your user that you're more interested in retargeting people that downloaded your app within the last 24 hours, as opposed to those that have been downloaded your app, more than 30 days ago. That it's less likely that they'll ever come back. Again, it depends on what you're trying to achieve, but adding that third, that element of time to your audiences gives you that totally different focus. And again, this can be done very simply and in an automatic way in our platform. Another tool that we offer is, again, uploading your own audiences and using your own or connecting to your own DMP. You can upload your audience manually, which is a super simple process, and we also have an API if any of the data providers that we work with if you have a data provider of your own and you want to upload those audiences, it's a very simple API process. And we also have the fifth tool, that is Audience Insights. So Audience Insights is it's also a very unique product that we have. Is let's assume that you have an audience, you have created your own audience, your first-party audience, and we, based on whatever it is that you want to measure, you start learning more about your audience that you currently know. And we'll put a use case. We'll see a use case shortly, but basically it's gaining, like the name says, gaining insights or learning more about your customers. And finally, we have third-party audiences. So everything else that we covered is first-party audiences. This time is third-party audiences that are provided by aggregators that we work with, partners like SEOTAP, Nielsen, and AdSquare. So let's start with a use case. You want to build an audience of visitors that went to your competitor's shop. So easiest example, or one very easy example to understand, I am Wendy's, and I want to target McDonald's customers. So we start building audiences about people from people that visited all these points of interest that we talked about, in this case, McDonald's. So and again, you may want or may not want to put time, but that's basically a location-based audience. Targeting people that work in finance, and this is, I think, one of the prime examples why you would want to use audiences rather than just relying on the BIDSTREAM or on regular targeting of a programmatic campaign. So it's very likely that you can reach a lot of customers that are working in finance if you advertise in the Wall Street Journal, right? But it may be that, number one, advertising in the Wall Street Journal is not probably very cheap. Maybe it is. I don't think so. But the issue that you have with that is that, yeah, sure, people that you want to reach are in the Wall Street Journal, but they're also somewhere else. They also watch connected TV, or they also play games. And how do you know what games these people are playing? So that's why you want to build an audience. In this case, probably in the location-based. Here, this picture we have, I think it's Frankfurt, the financial district of Frankfurt. But in the case of New York, Manhattan, you have literally, it's a radius of less than 2 miles, where it's the Wall Street area, where most of the people work in finance. Again, this is an example. But this is another way to build an audience that you would not necessarily know where they are. So if you have this audience, you can reach them not only the Wall Street Journal, but you can reach them on connected TV, you can reach them on games, you can reach them on other types of apps or shows in the case of connected TV. that you may not otherwise know where they are. People in finance not only read about finance, they do a lot of other things. And why can you do that? Because you build an audience and you know who these people are. Obviously, you don't know their names, but you know that these people work in finance and they also play. I don't know how many people in finance play Candy Crush, but let's think about Candy Crush. You can reach them on Candy Crush or other types of games that sell advertising. Hopefully, this is a good example of why you want to build audiences rather than just bidding on placements. Another way of building an audience is, or another use case for using an audience is including or excluding users based on their neighborhood or their income bracket. In this case, we use Beverly Hills because it's a bit stereotypical that it's a wealthy neighborhood, and you can include or exclude depending on your campaign. Maybe these people are too wealthy for my product. Maybe they're precisely the kind of people that I want to reach. Again, and this is a case of location-based audiences. Another case for working with location-based audiences is very timely, and it's getting more and more interesting by the day, which is out-of-home campaigns. We have digital out-of-home that is becoming, and also a player in programmatic, and you have straight out-of-home campaigns. How do you measure how many people have been exposed to these to the ad, to the billboard that you've been placing? Well, you build a campaign based on their location, and you see if people have been exposed or have been in the vicinity of your billboard, and that's another application that may not be as straightforward as people may think. And again, this is super simple to create on MediaSpark. And I hope I'm not being too pitchy, but the part about it being simple, it sounds like, wow, that sounds very complicated. In reality, it is not. So another type of application, another type of use case for audiences in terms of a use case is another use case for audiences is, as we mentioned before, interaction based. So basically, you can target a user that saw half of your video but did not click on it. In the case of video, we have automatic. You can place people automatically in different audiences based on whether they saw half of your ad, 75% of your ad, the completion of the ad. Those segments can be automatically built for you to retarget or use for some other purpose later. And this is another use case for interaction-based audiences. Another use case for interaction-based audiences is people that registered and did not purchase on your app. I think a little bit of what we talked about before. You can put them immediately, and you have a time to live for those people. It's time to live, meaning the audience can be created. People that bought or put things in their shopping cart in the last 24 hours, 72 hours, and so on. Another use case, which is based on location, but it's an added insight on your audience, and this is what I mentioned before. It would be easier to explain once we put an application. Let's say we have an audience that is people that visited a competitor store, but we want to see. It's a user of mine that visited also my competitor store in the last 14 days. So we have that audience that is my users, and we also know that they visited my competitor in the last 2 weeks. That's an additional insight that I would not have otherwise. If I were not building an audience, I would never know that my user is also going to my competitors. The same way, when time-based audiences is you can exclude users that leveled up in your app in the last 7 days, as we mentioned before. You have to add that variable, or you want to add that variable to address those that have more recency in the interaction with your app. So it's not only interaction, but it's also the time where the time window when they interact. Another audience insight, as the one we talked about before, again, I have my audience that are people that have visited my store. Again, this is my audience, and I want to get more insights on my customers. We realized that 30% of them also visited competitor number 1, 46% also visited competitor number 2, 7% downloaded my app yesterday, and 60% used our app in the last 10 days. So all these data points you define very simply, in a very simple manner, creating business rules when you create this insight. Another thing that we can do with audience insight is very similar to the last, but there's a big thing to add on this one. So we have our restaurant visitors. Again, this is my audience already, and we now know that 50% also visited competitor number 1 in the last month. Again, a time-based event that we're recording from our audience, and we also know that 39% use a coupon to pay. For their visit. So anything that can be tracked digitally can be fed back to our platform so that we can record that event and create an audience and record that event within that audience. So if there's if somebody uses a coupon and there's probably a server call, there's a pixel, we provide that to either your website or whatever system you're using, so that that event can be fed back very simply to our platform, and us be able to record the transaction. Now, finally, we're going to talk about our partners, the third-party data providers. As I mentioned before, we work with a number of aggregators. In this case, we're talking with AdSquare, SEOTAP, Nielsen. And you said there's a lot of variables that you're managing with your first-party audiences. Why would I need a third-party audience? Well, sometimes you do need them, because there's a number of apps out there that do not monetize by selling advertising, and they have very valuable data that you may want to tap into. So these apps, they have a trusted party that allows other people access to that data, and those are the data providers. For example, video on demand apps. A lot of them, they don't sell advertising, because it's a paid subscription. But think about Netflix. So they may syndicate their data through a third party for other people to use. You also have delivery apps. You have Uber. You have that do not rely on advertising, but they may have valuable information about consumers that they may want to make available to other parties, and that's when they use a third party, an aggregator like AdSquare, SEOTAP, Nielsen, and there's others out there, of course. So recapping a little bit about what we've talked about, we talked about location-based audiences, people that are within a vicinity, within a radius, in our case, 100 meters, within the neighborhood, so on. We also have people that are in the vicinity of a point of interest. We have interaction-based audiences that are built based on interactions that consumers have with your ads, your apps. Time-based audiences that are a derivation of location-based audiences and interaction-based audiences. We also have tools that allow you to upload your own audiences. It's a very simple process. If you want to upload them manually, if you want to refresh them or send them to us via API, we have a very simple to use API. We're also more deeply integrated with a couple of MMPs. There are the mobile measurement partners, like providers. Most mobile measurement providers like AppsFlyer, Kochava, All of those trackers work on our work with our platform. We also talked about audience insights, which is gaining more information about your first-party data, your first-party users. And then you have third-party audiences, which is the audiences that are provided by aggregators of data, such as the ones that we mentioned before. So finally, let's talk about privacy, because this all sounds all fine and dandy, but am I in the clear? Am I safe? Is this illegal? Where is it legal? So we're going to talk about it. We're not going to delve too much into the regulation, but we're going to, put a couple of definitions out there so that where what is the key, or what are the keys to being on the safe side when it comes to privacy and building audiences. So privacy is all about user consent. You have, as we go back to the programmatic ecosystem that we talked about in the first few slides, we saw that we have an advertiser that hires an agency or a trading desk to use a DSP to buy advertising on an SSP, access a publisher, and get to the user. So the user is the one who starts the consent, and that consent has to be given by the user to the publisher. Then the publisher passes on that consent under certain conditions to be used or by the SSPs and the DSPs. But it's all based on consent signals. So if you want to learn more about what are these consent signals, we will happily share with you the links to the IAB and how those are managed. So basically, it's all about the user giving consent for his data to be used for advertising. So we have the publisher consent, as mentioned before, the supply partners, which are the SSP. They provide us information in each bid request about the level of consent that is being provided by the user, and especially in countries where they're subject to this privacy regulation. As you may know, there's the European standard, which is GDPR, which is an opt-in. So everybody who has who wants to use an app and has to give positive or opt-in consent for the data to be used for advertising. In CCPA, I'm oversimplifying, and again, this is not meant to be legal advice, but CCPA is an opt-out. So which is different from an opt-in, but they're both based on consent. So in CCPA, you may have seen lately more and more websites and apps have these tag about do not sell my data. That is largely due to CCPA. What is a media smart process? Well, in the case of a DSP, we provide end users with the ability to access this information and allow them to opt out if they so desire. And the media buyer, the data user, they can only recover personal data from users that have provided that consent to be tracked and interacted with their advertising campaigns. So you can only target people that have given their consent to be targeted and to be tracked in advertising campaigns. So again, consent is the most important part and the medullary part of this. So it's important to tell you that if you work with MediaSmart, these checks are in place automatically. So you're on the safe side when you're using our platform. But if you try to, or you're using somebody else and you're not sure whether you're on the clear, we have created this safety checklist for you to know to be on the safe side of things. So this is very simple. I'm going to read them out so that we pass it on as clearly as possible. So opt-out users should not be targeted by any campaign targeting user segments. When serving a campaign to opt-out users, macros or session-level variables corresponding to personal info will be masked. The user ID that we talked about before, IDFA or Google Android ID, shall be empty. The IP address shall have at least 3-digit mask, and the GPS should be caught up to 2 decimal digits. Opt-out users should not be dynamically added to any retargeting user segment created, and you should be able to exclude opt-out users when configuring any campaign so they can ensure that they are not targeted. And with that, we finish our presentation. So let's go to Q&A, see what we have. If I'm not here by myself, we have. Okay, I can see the questions. All right. So let's see questions, comments. Oh, there's a few. Oh. Okay, here are the questions. So is it possible to build profiles? So, well, BDSmart does not build profiles in and out itself. We do not own any information. As I said before, this is all first-party data that the advertiser is managing, or the advertiser is bringing to the table, is bringing to our platform. Again, we don't create. We process the information that our advertisers are managing. So basically, when you create these audiences, you are adding these data points, but we do not actively, use this information that you bring to cross it with somebody else's data or so on. It's always data that that you have and you can match with the BIDSTREAM. Any other question? Let's see what else we have. I think we're running, well, we still have time. We started a bit behind because of those issues that we had, but let's see. Actually, I'm going to put my face here. There you go. Let's wait a little bit for a private chat. Yes, okay. What would be the difference between targeting BIDSTREAM variables and using audiences? So you can use BIDSTREAM variables to target people, and as opposed to building audiences. But again, as we said before, you can have more reach and more effectiveness if you build audiences. It all depends on where you are in your campaign, in your user journey. If you want to test things out, by all means, use a BIDSTREAM. But if you really know that you want to target, as we said before, the finance people that work in finance. Again, with the BIDSTREAM, you can just target and start buying on the Wall Street Journal or any other apps that have some contextual affinity, basically finance apps or finance websites or mobile websites that are geared toward that. That said, if you create an audience with people that have this sort of interest, you can target them somewhere else that is not only in those placements and not only that type of app. You can have wider reach, and you can have probably increased effect, because maybe people, it depends on what you are selling. You want to reach people in finance, but your product is not, let's say it's a car. You want to target finance people because, stereotypically they have money, but they probably don't want to hear about cars when they're reading the Wall Street Journal because they're working. Maybe if you reach them when they are in another mood, again, playing games, or they're watching television or connected TV, you can have a better response. It depends, but the added value, the value that audiences give you is that you're targeting people rather than placement. How I would like to know how to create a target audience from my competitor. Well, it depends on who your competitor are. So sorry, who your competitor is. As we said, if I'm Wendy's and I want to build an audience based on the people that go to McDonald's, I would want to create a location-based audience of people that go to that McDonald's, and I would start, putting them into an audience, and then automatically run campaigns towards those people. Maybe you don't want to target them 1 hour after they went to the McDonald's. We're talking about, you add the time-based audience that we talked about during, the session. You don't want to target them 1 hour because they probably just ate, Well, you probably want to target them 6 hours later, or probably the next day if it's lunchtime. This guy went today to McDonald's, probably he wants to go to Wendy's the next day, or in 3 days. Or maybe your Popeyes sells chicken. The guy went to have a burger today. Well, probably not 2 burgers in a row. Maybe next day try chicken. Anyway, it's a very simple and foolish example, but it's just putting a little bit of stream to tell you how you can do it. If it's on a location base, if it's if it's an app, for example, if it's a game, you can see similar games that where you can advertise, or people that have similar games to the one you want to market. That's how you can also build an audience. If it's an audience, again, on a certain region of the country, you create where a competitor has a strong presence, you probably want to target those people. About out of home, how can we be able to check its audience? Oh, great. So out of home. So we talked about out of home measurement. It's very similar to a point of interest, but in this case, instead of saying the people that went to McDonald's and we can say, okay, he went to McDonald's, he ate, okay, fine, he's a burger fan or whatever we want to call it. When you're talking about out of home or a digital out of home, you are creating your own point of interest. Basically, whatever is the latitude and longitude where these billboard is placed, you start measuring, within a radius, how many people are exposed to your digital out of home or out of home campaign to measure and to create an audience. Let's see. Now we're getting close to the end, and I don't want to finish without talking a little bit about my last one. Yes, can I follow users? Yes, we covered that. Yes, let me cover the last part before we run out of time. So a little bit so that you can put a face with a name. I'm somewhere there. This is MediaSmart. We are based in New York, Madrid, and we recently got acquired by Apple. We're Afflers, technically speaking. Apple is a publicly traded company in India. Offices in Singapore as well, a strong presence in Southeast Asia, and very happy to be part of the group now. As we mentioned before, we're programmatic. We are not an ad network. We're not an agency. We're not an MMP. MMP, remember, it's a mobile measurement platform. But we integrate with them and their fraud solutions. And again, we're based in Madrid, New York, and we're part of Apple. And if that's all we have for now, I will also tell you that we will be having an upcoming webinar on connected TV. As you saw or if you heard, I talked a lot about or put a lot of connected TV because we're working on a very big project on that end. That is going to be, we already have connected TV inventory, but it's going to be, we're going to bring something new to the market in the coming weeks. So we're very excited about that, and you'll be hearing about it. So stay tuned, and we're going to be, you're going to be hearing from us. And if you have any questions regarding this session, or you want to reach out to any of us at MediaSmart, you saw the faces there. You have our emails. You have our page. We're very easy to find. We pretty much work around the clock. Again, we're in Madrid, New York. We work on both schedules. And I just want to thank you for being here, and have a great weekend. It's I think it's almost 5 p.m. in New York. That means we're approaching happy hour. So I hope you you enjoy yours, and we'll be in touch. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.